First, Alexander, we're going to look at your swing before we made any changes. Now, prior to watching this video, I had asked you to watch the other video that I had sent, which shows all of the fundamentals of the golf swing in the 10 positions. And we used Grant Wade as the model for that. We're now going to look at just a few of those positions side by side with your swing. Now, Alexander, I'm not looking for 10 or 15 things for you to work on. I'm only looking for 1 or 2 key things that you need to work on right now. I need you to start building a foundation of essential fundamentals to build on. Once you can change your form in certain key positions, the performance will follow. One of the most important positions for every beginning player is the starting position. If we can start right, everything else becomes a lot easier. First, let's look at the feet. I've drawn a circle around Grant's left foot, showing how he has turned his feet out a little bit. He's kind of, the toes are flared a little bit. The reason for that is that it helps him shift his weight to the left side on the downswing, which is an important fundamental in a golf swing. The thing we want to look at is the extension of the arms. I've drawn a line down Grant's left arm. You can see how straight and extended it is. In fact, it's almost in the same line as the shaft of the club. Your left arm is bent, and we need to set that up in a better extended position. Also, Grant's hands are in front of the ball, and the shaft of his club is leaning towards the target. And so is yours. Your hands are in front of the ball, and the shaft is leaning. So that's very good. Another important fundamental in the setup is how you do your weight distribution between the 2 feet. I've drawn 2 lines from the center of Grant's ankles straight up. And you can see how he has a little more weight on his left side than he does his right side. Now, as I draw 2 lines off of your ankles, take a look at that. If I can get that straight. Another one straight up here. You can see that you're more evenly balanced between the 2 feet. Where Grant has a little bit more shift to the left in the setup. Now, the reason that's a fundamental is that from the video that you watched earlier, it was discussed that it's important to keep the low point of your swing in front of the golf ball. And that requires you to have your weight more on the left side than the right side. Remember, the video said that 85% of your body weight should be on the left side at impact. So in your setup, you're kind of presetting some of that weight more to the left than the right to make that easier to do. The third thing we worked on during this first session was the grip in your left hand. We made that a little bit stronger, turning that grip over just a little bit more to help you have a better extension in your arm and have a little bit better leverage in hinging the club up in your backswing. Now, these fundamentals that I've talked about in this first position, we worked on some of these in our first session. Let me show side by side of your setup after we did some changes to your swing. Alexander, as you can see, you made some very good changes in your setup in this first session. This left arm is extended. The hands are in front of the ball. You have a great shaft lean here to hit down on it. We draw a line up from the ankle. You have more weight on your left foot than your right foot. I even like the little tilt of your head now in this setup. You have a much more athletic position. You just look more ready to make an athletic movement at the golf ball. That's a that's an excellent change and improvement in your setup. And that, once you feel comfortable with that, can repeat that over and over, then you're going to start hitting a lot better shots. So continue working on this setup. Now we're going to look at a couple other areas of the golf swing. This is the 3 position. This is when the left arm is parallel to the ground. And we're going to look at a couple different things. One, Grant has a very extended arm. You bend your elbow a little bit, and as you continue to work on that new setup and starting with an extended arm, you're going to find yourself making it easier to get into this 3 position with maintaining that extended arm. One of the things we worked on was your grip, and as you continue to improve your grip, it'll be easier for you to keep your left arm straight in this position. I've also drawn a green line off the left ankle, and you can see as Grant rotates back in his backswing, he does not shift his weight away from this green line. And you have leaned way over to the right. Once you learn how to make a proper turn in the backswing, you'll have a lot more consistency because you will not be shifting your golf circle to the right so much, which makes it difficult to bring the club back to the golf ball correctly. You'll swing more in a circle and not so much a sway to the right and a sway to the left, but simply rotate. I do like the fact that you have a nice angle where you have the shaft and this forearm and almost at a right angle. That's what Grant has done well. So you're hinging your wrist pretty well here. So I like that. That's going to give you some power, some snap at the ball. Now let's look at the impact position. And I'd mentioned earlier in the other video how important the impact position was. That everything the ball does as it flies in the air, the direction it flies and how much curve it has, and how much distance it has, is all caused by the position of the club at impact. That ball's on the face of the club only a fraction of a second. And so if you want to control the golf ball, you must control the club during that moment of impact. Everything you do before impact can either help you or hurt you have a good impact position. Let's take a look at this impact position. Now Grant has a nice straight line at impact. His left arm and the shaft, his hands are in front of the golf ball. He shifted his weight to the left side. About 85% of his weight is on his left foot at impact. Your left arm is bent at impact, and you still are very flat-footed. You don't have much weight on your left foot. You've got maybe a little more weight on your left foot, but not very much difference in your setup. So you're swinging pretty flat-footed here. Take a look at one final position of the golf swing, and that's the last final pose. As you can see, Grant Wade is in that classic position. He's solid on his left side. Now we're going to look at one final position, and that's the 10th position, the final classic pose. As you can see, Grant is on his left side. He's looking over his right arm. You can see this back foot, he's on the tip of his toe. This knee is up to the other knee. He's balancing all of his weight on that front leg and as he's facing the target. Your back foot is still on the ground back here. It hasn't really turned as much. You're making a good move here. You're turning towards the target, but not quite getting off that back foot and getting more weight on that front foot. Now we're going to look at your swing before and after we worked on some of these fundamentals. On the left was before you worked on this finish, and on the right was after you worked on the finish. You can see a big difference. You now have that back foot on the tip of the toe just like Grant Wade did. Very good. You now have this club behind your head. You're standing much taller. This club here is right here. So it's a fuller swing, a more athletic swing. That's a really good change. Now you're going to have to practice this swing and this movement to this finish. You'll occasionally feel like you're losing balance a little bit, but the more you practice it, the better it'll become, the more comfortable you'll become with it. So you made some good progress. You had a good starting position. We made some good changes there, and you have a good finishing position. We'll continue working on these fundamentals in our next session.